cars burn tracks across your face. Past pale blue eyes, crowded by cataracts, not quite perfect yet. We've said our goodbyes 1,000 times. Butterfly wings, thumping softly on the wind.
Hey everybody, welcome to another episode of the Fiberista Files. Today is Thursday, May 7th, 2015. I'm your host Heather, also known as Boutros Babe on Ravelry and Plurk, and Fiberista Files on Twitter and Instagram. You can find the shop at shop.highlandhandmades.com and the podcast at thefiberistafiles.com. If this is your first time joining me, welcome, and if you are returning, thanks ever so much. As you can probably tell, I'm a little hoarse today. This is what happens when you have an epic weekend. You lose your voice, or at least I do. I also kind of got laid low by a migraine yesterday, so I'm not projecting as well as I usually do. So I'm really sorry if, for combined reasons, you have a bit of a difficult time understanding me. But I simply could not wait any longer to talk to you guys because the corner where I hold stuff is overflowing. So I'm going to jump right into it with the weeks in review. The first couple of weeks since my last podcast, I really didn't do very much. It was a lot of, going to the gym and doing updates. I'm trying to get back into the regular Sunday noontime update schedule and, getting ready for spring. Spring finally showed up. It's beautiful and like 75 degrees right now. Fabulous. And much anticipated. So we've done some burning and, raking of the lawn and all of that good stuff. We're not at the point where we're ready to mow yet. Everybody on my feeds are, we mowed the lawn today. And I'm always jealous because their lawn smells good. Mine doesn't yet, but soon, hopefully. But also this past weekend, a bunch of stuff has happened in rapid succession. The most obvious being that I went to the Maryland Sheep and Wool Festival in West Friendship, Maryland last weekend. And I have the book to prove it, as well as the significant stash enhancement. So I'm going to talk a little bit about that stuff today. I will save most of the stash acquisition to the end, just because some of you guys don't want to see wool piggery, and I understand that. And it really doesn't have a whole lot to do with business or my growth or anything like that. So I'll save it to the end, but I'll talk about it quite a bit at the end. So let's get into some more normal stuff. So knitting and spinning have actually been fairly busy. I overcame my usual late winter doldrums, and I've accomplished a few things. This is the first FO I've had in a long time. This is the Flax Sweater by Tin Can Knits. It's a free pattern, very simple, unisex, frontwards, backwards, neutral, it's not directional, long sleeve sweater. And I knit this out of 2 skeins of silver maple sock. Let me turn on the auto focus so that you guys can see it up close. It's actually knit holding 2 strands of yarn together. The first one is a snow-dyed yarn. Maybe it's not going to focus. I thought it would. There it goes. The pink, purple, and red is a snow-dyed yarn that I did here in the house just as a test. And the other one is an undyed skein of the same base. And together, come on, out of focus. There we go. Together they create this sort of mottled effect. And I think it's adorable. It's for a friend of mine who was having a girl baby. Not for Katie, because Katie's having a boy baby. And Katie's going to get lots of knitwear, so I'm very carefully planning the Shawlette's knitwear. It's got to be geeky, like crazy. It's got to be something that only I would knit that baby, because I don't want to be like everybody else. And there are some fabulous knitters making her stuff. Shush, nobody cares about your problems, Briggs. But then I also, because this sweater I didn't think was really going to be enough, I am also adding some of, I don't know how to say it, Sartemis Booties, Sartemis Booties. It's another free pattern on Ravelry, and I've knit this pattern several times before, and they're just a pair of wee little booties. And this is that same snow-dyed yarn, and then the undyed is the top. So they look kind of like Mary Jane's because they'll have these ties. I don't have buttons for them yet, but I will. They're just going to be 2 simple little buttons. that I'll attach right on there, and all will be good. But I think that's adorable, and I think it matches pretty well. Like, I think so. So we'll see how that goes. But I have one more booty still to knit, but it's not good car knitting because I have to look at the directions every couple of rows, and I can't look at directions and be in the car. Can't do it. So the other thing that I've been working on, you guys have seen, is another snow-dyed yarn. It is the Cattywampus hat that I'm knitting out of my first skein of snow-dyed yarn. Am I in the middle of a row? Kind of. I just flipped. But this is the Cattywampus. And this is one of those projects that you have no idea what it looks like until, hang on, my phone's ringing. Okay, sorry about that. My phone was ringing. That was a call I had to answer. So we were talking about the Cattywampus, which is one of those patterns that you just don't understand until it all comes together. But you can see this bottom edge here has to get to 19 inches, and I'm getting pretty close. I've got to do about 7 more purl ridges before it's all done. I'm still in love with the yarn. The Cattywampus hat is actually a pattern designed for worsted weight yarn, or DK weight yarn, I think, not the sock weight. So I did have to make some modifications over how many stitches I did, but I'm in love with it. And Elizabeth Green Musselman, aka Dark Matter Knits, who has the Dark Matter Knits podcast and is incredibly smart and brilliant and wonderful. That's her pattern. And I really recommend it if you haven't knit it before. Yet another thing I've been knitting is the second of the Clown in My Closet socks for my husband out of the White Birch Fiber Arts Diamondback colorway, I think it's called. I'm on the second sock, still on the foot. I'll be on the foot forever because he has giant feet. But that's coming right along. It's mostly stockinette with just 3 slip stitches a row, so it's pretty easy. And then I finished one other thing, and you need to forgive me for the color that it is because it was just a test, and I will be over dyeing this. But this is a cowl. You can see it's just basically a big tube that I Kitchenered the ends together, and it is one of those cowls that keeps you insanely warm in the winter because it's this big, huge, bulky tube. And of course, my hair's all messed up now. It's knit out of a thick and quick bulky yarn that is alternately thick and thin. It's a yarn that I will carry in the shop, but do not as of yet. This takes 2 skeins. That color is more accurate. And you can see it almost kind of undulates because of the thickness, and the thin bits kind of pull in a little. But dead easy pattern. It will be a pattern available for purchase eventually, but not right now. It's going to be part of a project I'm working on. The only other thing that I've been knitting is in my Just Little bag. At shows, if you've seen me at shows, you may have seen that I knit, oh, there goes the needle, just a sample of my butternut DK bases, and I just hang it next to the butternut DK fiber in my displays. You can tell which is the new stuff because it's still all crinkly. It'll flatten out as it goes. But these are all of my colors from my oldest all the way down. And these 5 need to be photographed actually and added into the custom orders for the shop. But they're a moss green, a deep blue, a pumpkin, a royal purple, and a chocolate brown. So if you would like sweaters out of any of those colors, in addition to the ones that are already on the site, we can make that happen. Man, the blue needle. And I don't ever, that tube is never finished because I'm always adding colors to it. So I just clip the needles together and hang it from my boots. So that'll be ready for Fiber Frolic, which is my next show. That's my husband. Excuse you. I have been doing a little bit of spinning, not a lot. And in fact, oh no, I can't even show you because my husband's right there. Let me unhook it. This is what I'm spinning right now. This is Into the World. It is the Bazinga colorway in the Superwash Merino Cashmere Silk base. Of course, it's not going to focus. Trying to get the colors to show up. That's fairly accurate there. There it goes. It's 4 to 4.3 ounces of 80-10-10 superwash merino cashmere silk. It's a fiber that I got for Christmas from my husband. This is the bag it came in, and you can see I split the fiber lengthwise into 2 balls. That's all I have left of the first ball. I'm actually going to apply each one of these separate from each other. The main fiber frolic has a skein competition, and the fine category of sport to lighter weight yarns actually only requires a 2-ounce skein. So if one of these comes out really nice, I'm going to enter it in. So they're going to be 2 2-ounce skeins. So that's awesome. And that's really the only spinning I've been doing. I don't want to say that I'm going to be adding a new category to the podcast. However, I have learned a new craft. So on a whim one day, we went to Southern Maine to Halcyon Yarn in Bath. And I came home with an ankle loom. Because I didn't have enough hobbies, so I decided I needed another one. So this is my ankle loom. It's a very simple tool. You can see I still have my warp threads over there to hang on it. I have been a weaving fiend. I did not know how fast weaving was. And on the ankle loom, which an ankle loom basically does thin things, straps, belts, those sorts of things. I didn't realize how incredibly quick it was going to be and how much stash it was going to use up. I've had a great time. I'm wearing a belt that I can't show you that I did out of just some leftover striping yarn I had. But I also, and I've been using a lot of wool because that's what I have in my stash. This was the first thing I wove. It's just a simple, you know, wool, whatever. I've noticed that cotton works a lot better than at least this wool does. This wool was a little too catchy, like stuff caught a lot. And there's my ends. Everything's all a mess. It's all different sizes at the ends. Like you can tell the difference between the end where I started and the end where I finished because they're very different thicknesses. But I learned a lot about tensioning and all of that. It was a good time. And like this one took like 3 hours. My belt, which is twice as long and wider, took me like 2 because I knew what I was doing and it was a lot easier. And then I also did a whole bunch of these. I did one long strip and I turned them into keychains. So I just bought some little key rings and it's a strapped keychain. I made it my very own self. It looks navy blue, but it's actually purple and gold and silver. It's Minnesota Vikings colors if you're Katie. But I'm fairly impressed with how easy the learning curve was on this. So there will be small things like this up in the shop periodically. I can't say that I'm going to commit to doing so much a week or a month even, but it's a really nice way to spend an evening if you're tired of knitting. I'm really enjoying it. I also think, without too much trouble, my husband could make ankle looms. I think we could do gangbusters selling ankle looms, but still trying to convince him of that. Okay, so that's knitting, spinning, weaving. So dye pots. The dye pots have been fairly busy. I'm trying to do updates on Sundays at noon unless I've got a show. That doesn't always happen, as this past weekend when I was at Maryland Sheep and Wool. But most of the time, I've got at least something going up Sunday at noon. So this coming Sunday, I am going to have a couple sets of minis, which I do very rarely, but periodically when I've got a bunch of ends on cones that need to be used up, I'll do some minis. So I've got some minis going. That pink is not quite that pink, but it's still quite bright pink. I've got 2 sets of rainbow minis going, and I've got another set skeined up that I just need to dye. I have some hand spun going up. I have a few things going up into the shop. So like I said, Sunday at noon is when that will be. I'm also going to be doing custom pre-orders for this colorway. This colorway I did, this one is mine. I did one for my friend Monica and one for my friend Christine. Christine, you don't know this yet, but you're about to. We were going to be going all together to the Maryland Sheep and Wool Festival together. Unfortunately, Christine came down sick and she was not able to go. But this is the MD SW or bust colorway. And it's dyed to match the logo. So I've got the rust that's on the front of the sheep. I've got the 2 shades of purple that are over here. And then this navy blue right in here. There's a pop of that navy as well. And a little bit of aqua that's down here. So it's all the colors from the MDSW illustration available in yarn. If you are at MDSW, or even if you just want the skein of yarn, you can go ahead and place a custom order. This is done on white maple sock, which is my 100% superwash merino base. It's all American. It's 415 yards, machine wash, dry, flat. It is a bouncy, it's actually a 2-ply, I think, 2 or 3. I should probably figure that out and tell you right now so I don't tell you the wrong thing. It is a 2-ply. But it's a super smush 2-ply, and the twist ply is outrageous. It's good for socks, it's good for shawls, it's good for just about anything. Monica, if you follow Emmy Stitcher on Instagram, is knitting this up into a shawl right now, and it looks fab. So that's dye pots. Growth? I don't have a whole lot for growth. Sorry, I can't figure out which way that hair goes. There it goes. It's show season, so I'm doing a lot of prep for shows. I went to Maryland Sheep and Wool to sort of see if it's a show that I wanted to apply to vend. I realized that there's a waiting list and it may take me a couple of years to get in, but I did decide after having been there that it's a show that I definitely want to do. The atmosphere was great. The people were great. I learned a lot about where I might want my business to be set up, on which end, and who would be nearby, and what sort of businesses were there. Were they fellow indies like me, or were they more big companies? And it was really awesome. So I suppose that's growth. I'm going to apply to vend there. But main Fiber Frolic is June 6th and 7th. And that is the next show I'm doing. It's a month away, and I'm very excited. It's the best show I do in Maine all year as far as fun and getting to hang out with people and just having a ripper and good time in the warm weather. So you can find out more about the Maine Fiber Frolic at fiberfrolic.org, I think. I can't remember if it's .com or .org, but it's just Fiber Frolic. I should have checked that before I said that, sorry. They also have, the Maine Fiber Frolic has a page on Facebook that you can follow as well. All right, so processes. I gotta be frank with you guys, I'm kind of out of processes lately. I feel like I've not been doing a lot of new things, dye techniques or growth in business, or, you know, I'm past the point where I'm telling you guys what I'm doing as far as my dyer's notebook and things like that. So if there's a process that you want to know about, if there's something you want me to explain how I do or anything like that, then tell me and I'll happily talk about it on the podcast. I'm supposed to be putting an episode thread in my Highland Handmades Ravelry group, and you can always ask questions there, or you can just email me, heather@highlandhandmades.com, if you've got a question. So let me know what you want to know. I'll keep doing that section, otherwise I'm going to have to drop it off. But that brings us to the next section, which is grabby hands. And oh my gosh, I have so many grabby hands to show you. Before I even get to MDSW, I want to show you a book that I got. And it came wicked fast. I thought it was going to take a while, but it didn't. I got Little Red in the City. And I have, when you buy the physical version, it also comes with the digital version. So I have both. I cannot wait to delve into this book. So much information in the beginning about sizing and increasing and decreasing, and, you know, bust darts and different, just even different ways to do ribbing so that all of the stitches in your ribbing are even. And oh, my dog's gonna growl. He might bark. He thinks the lawnmower is out to get him. It's across the street. I don't really know why people are mowing their lawn. Okay, so this is one of the things they talk about how in most knitting, I think you can see it, that this outside rib stitch is always a little wonky. And there's a easy way to make it so that that doesn't happen, so that your ribbing is super even. This one, super even on both sides. So I haven't, like I said, spent a whole lot of time in this book yet, but I am going to for sure. I'm very excited about this book. Okay. enough about that. Oh, you know what? I got one other thing to show you before Hey, get on it now. Dog just tried to touch my MDSW stuff. No. We do not do that. Would you like to say hello to everybody? Do you want to come up here and say hi? Hey, pay attention. Come say hi. Oh, and the camera can't even see you. Hey, up here. Say hi. No. What are you doing? What are you doing? Get down. Hey, dog. Get down if you're going to be ridiculous. Get down. Get down. Good boy. Okay, so the other thing that I got in the mail is the last bit of my club from Kiki and the Yarn vs. Zombies Geek Club. Yarn vs. Zombies is out of Australia, and one of the reasons I love these bases is because it's all Australian stuff. So, this one is I'm Just Here for the Food. It's a Muppets Christmas. And this base is Artifact, which is 85% luster, 10% bamboo, 5% silk. This one is 100% is the Kiwi DK. It's 100% organic New Zealand Polworth. This is I'm Not Like Other Girls. It's Alice in Wonderland. Huge smushy skein. And then this one is also the Kiwi DK, 100% organic New Zealand Polworth. Team Dean, Supernatural. Oh, that's right. I've got myself a little skein full of Dean right here. Oh, so excited. So excited. So Kiki, thank you very much for that. I'm sad that club is over, but I really had a blast with all the yarns, and I hope to do a project with them all very soon. I'm backburnering that project right now, but it is in my mind quite a bit. Okay. So MDSW, like I said, I was supposed to go with my friends Monica and Christine, and unfortunately Christine was ill, which is really too bad because she missed a fantastic time. I mean, I understand what it's like to be sick and to have to cancel things because you're sick, and that's probably the adult thing to do. I would have cried if I were her, though. She may have. I don't know. But Monica and I talked, and we decided we did still want to go. And so we set off actually Thursday morning, and we're going to drive most of the way and then finish it Friday morning, check into our hotel, and then we'd be fresh for Saturday and Sunday, and then come home on Monday morning. Excuse me. And make the drive home in one day. So it was really well planned out. We were never overly tired. We had energy, but we both pretty much at the end of the day, like after dinner, just wanted to be in our room and play with our stuff, which is good because we've got a lot of stuff. I will put some pictures here at the end. I met some amazing people. I was able to pet some amazing sheep. I seriously snorkeled some sheep, scratched their little faces. I may have kissed at least one of them on the nose. But at Fiber Frolic, you're not really allowed to pet the sheep. There's big signs that say, please do not pet the sheep. And I get it. People are dirty. You don't want their, if you're the shepherd, you might not want people touching your sheep. But there's no signs like that at MDSW. You're just allowed to pet anything that will hold still long enough for you to get your grubby little paws on them. And pet them I did. So many breeds, so many friendly sheep. The whole entire Corriedale row was nothing but love bugs. And oh my God, I had such a good time petting them and loving on them and squishing their fibers. There's video of me on Instagram scratching one Corriedale ram's cheeks because he was just so happy. That wasn't the only thing that I don't want to say groped, that's not the wrong word, that leads inappropriate, but I definitely snorkeled some people too. Because there were a bunch of people there, of course, that I know and love. I did stop at the podcaster meetup briefly, so I got to see Laura and Leslie from the Knit Girls. I saw Emily of Fibertown, Michelle and Holly of the Sheepish podcast. Who else did I see? Mel of Meltran Designs, Fiber Nymph of Fiber Nymph. I know that I'm forgetting people that I saw at the meetup. Casey of Tangerine Designs. I saw Lynn Zim. I saw so many people. I'm forgetting people. This was all on Saturday. I also got to spend some time Saturday morning with Chris and James of Into the World. And I had no idea that Chris and James watched the podcast. So hi, Chris and James. I was fangirling over them hard. And Maryland Sheep will opens her doors at like 8 o'clock in the morning, but the vendors don't open until 9. So I needed to get to Into the World. It was the one place I wanted to get. I had no idea what kind of a line they would have, and I had to get me some Into the World. Had to. That was my one thing. Everybody has a thing they want to get to. Some people it's Jenny the Potter. For a lot of people, it was Miss Babs. For me, it was Into the World. So I'm out in front of their booth, and they've got a curtain drawn across because, of course, they're not open. And Monica is standing with me, and we're talking. I'm like, oh my God, I can see Captain Tight Pants the whole time. And Chris recognized my voice, and she's like, you guys can come in. And I was like, no. She was like, oh, yes. And I was like, no. She was like, oh, yes. So then, of course, we scooted underneath the curtain, and we spent, I don't know, 45 minutes just chatting. Like we're this now. Not really. But they were so incredibly kind and sweet and generous and just lovely people. If you have not yet said hello to Chris and James of Into the World, you really should, because they could not be better people. And funny, we have this get-rich-quick scheme that we're going to do. James, I'm looking at you, the enablos. It's going to happen. The kilt option. We're going to exercise it. Just saying. And, of course, I fell down a little in their booth, although Monica fell down much harder than I did. I was very restrained. But it was really fun. So, on Saturday, I bought some stuff. I haven't got to Sunday yet. Don't think I'm missing anybody, because I'm not. So, in Into the World's booth, I got, of course, Captain Tight Pants. This is Falkland. Yep, Falkland carded that. I also got a skein of, I think it's Cat's Pajamas. Yep, Cat's Pajamas. And this is their Bethel sock, which is blue, Superwash BFL, which is not a sock yarn I typically knit with, but I do love BFL. So there's that gorgeousness. I could have done some serious damage because everything they have is beautiful, but I restrained myself a little bit. Okay. We also went all the way down to Hubli Hoy, and they have these batlings. This is the Orion constellation. It's a collaboration, apparently, between Hubli Hoy and Neighborhood Fiber Company. Neighborhood Fiber Co. was also there, but this was in the Hubli Hoy booth. So these batlings are black and sort of a lime, yellow and a gray and a silver, and they're gorgeous. On Saturday, also, I bought, what else did I buy on Saturday? Oh, I bought this on Saturday. Look at this out of the way. This is 4 ounces of Jacob wool from Tannery Spring, which is out of Schaeferstown, Pennsylvania. I hope I said that right. They sell fleeces, homespun yarn, knitted items, and washable sheepskins, as well as rams, ewes, and lambs. But this is a beautiful, if you've ever seen Jacob sheep, you know that they're spotted. And I can't imagine the work involved with having to take apart the colors in the fleece to get them into balls of roving like this. Now, I did find the end of this, and I noticed that the ecru and the gray will separate out. So they're spun, they're sort of pulled into mill spun roving together, but I can separate them. And in fact, I will, because one of the things I bought on Sunday will go with it quite well, I believe, once I get that spun. So it was 4 ounces. And that was really, really, really reasonable. Okay, so everything else I bought on Sundays, I spent a little bit more money on Sundays than I did on Saturday. Part of that was because on Sunday morning, I met up with the fabulous, the wonderful, the original Silly Fru, Wendy of the Sassy Pants Knitter podcast. Now, Wendy and I have been trying to meet for years now, and it finally, the stars aligned and it happened. And I was a little actually worried to talk too much about going to Maryland Sheep and Wool because I was worried that I would jinx myself or that something would happen and we wouldn't be able to meet. Fully half of the reason I wanted to go to Maryland was because I knew Fru was going to be there on Sunday. And we spent the whole day together. She got there at like 8:30, and I think Monica and I think we got picked up by the shuttle at 3. So it was pretty much the whole day. We didn't shop the whole day. We sat in the shade and talked, and we had lunch, and we hung out. And Fru is just as amazing in person as you can imagine. Just as sassy, just as feisty, and epically more awesome in real life. So I know that there are people like my friend Katie who are jealous that I got to hang out with Fru, but you're just going to have to go down there because that's what we did. So while I was with Fru, we went around all of the booths again because that's what we had done Saturday. We went into the world, and then we just walked the rest of the fairgrounds to see what was there. Now, this is for a knitting project, so it's not actually, that's a little too bright. Where can I, this color is more accurate, this sort of dullish orange. This is Bartlett Yarns, and Bartlett Yarns was vending. Bartlett Yarns is the Maine company. So Bartlett Yarns brought their yarn from Maine to Maryland, and I bought it in Maryland to bring it back to Maine. But it was exactly the right color and yarn that I needed for a project, for a knitting design that I'm working on. So I picked it up. It's $10, and it's a full 4 ounce. It's like 200 and, I want to say it's 220 or 240 yards. I'd have to look on their website. They have one of the oldest and only mule spinners left in the country. And their yarn is very floofy and filled with air, even though it's a 2-ply. It's a solid workhorse kind of worsted. It's not next to Skin Soft, but it's fabulous. And I always like saying hi to them and supporting the local guys, even when I'm in Maryland. I also bought 2 skeins of yarn from Fiber Optic. Now, I was going to get one of her gradient braids of fiber because I love them. But I bought one at SSK almost 2 years ago, and I haven't spun it yet because it's too pretty. So I had it in my hand, and I asked Fru, I said, Fru, you've got to take this from me. Do not let me buy more fiber if I haven't spun the first one. I don't know if you can hear that equipment. I have no idea what it is, but it's a neighbor. I have no control over that sound. So instead of buying fiber, I bought Fiber Optic yarns. This is Superwash Merino worsted. The first one is Brimstone, and the other one is Ivy League. These are sort of kettle dyed. One's a green, one's an orange, pumpkin-y orange. I really like these together. I would like to make a mostly orange hat with a green on it for Paul, and I would like to have a mostly green hat with orange on it for me. He's not super impressed with that idea of sort of inversibles hats, but I might be able to convince him. We'll see what happens. But the orange yarn is technically for him. So I also bought him this yarn, but he doesn't like it. So I don't know what will become of it. This is, hang on, I got to get the label out. Brooks Farm out of Lancaster, Texas. Their yarn is at brooksfarmyarn.com. This is the estero. It's 4 ounces, 420 yards of superwash wool, silk, and viscose. And so it's almost has a heathered look in it, where the dyes are absorbed differently. And of course, everything's going to go, there it is. So it's got some green and that pumpkin orange that my husband loves, and a little bit of dark sort of grayish blue, a little bit of red. I think he'll like it better once it's spun up. I did a pair of fingerless mitts for him out of yarn of the same base, and he loves those fingerless mitts, which is why I bought this for him. I thought maybe he'd want another pair. I also bought some breed-specific wool. This is 100% Coop Worth yarn from Dawn Schaefer, who is, I think, the shepherd. This is the ebony colorway. It's a dark, of course, almost black fibers, 250 yards, 3-ply DK. It is, the Etsy shop is French Hill Country. can see it there. It's really nice machine spun yarn. And this was from the Everything Coopworth booth, which is a shepherd's cooperative. And I believe the Lazy O Ranch is the name of the place where the Coopworth grew or lived, that the fiber came from. Yeah, Larry and Dawn Schaefer. FrenchHillCountry.com is the website. I'll put that up there so you guys can see it. So, and they had Coopworth roving, Coopworth fiber, Coopworth yarn in all colors. They had it in ecru, they had it in a soft gray, they had it in a bunch. But I kept these cards with it specifically so that I could talk about this particular farmer's stuff. And it's got a lot of smoosh to it. And I think this is going to go well. I'm going to do some color work. So I'm going to split the ecru and the gray from this and maybe do a 3-color mittens or something with those. What else? I'm sorry, I know the bag is rattling. Into the World, when I got my purchase, they also gave me a button and these 2 cards that are for hand spun on the back. I stopped by the Wild Fibers booth. This is another Maine company because that's what I do. Katie is friends with Linda, who runs Wild Fibers magazine. I got this one specifically because it was about the Falkland Islands, which I sell Falkland fiber. I've been selling Falkland fiber for years. I had no idea that these sheep hang out with penguins. True story, they're in the same pasture. This is not Photoshop. This is like, they just hang out. I watched a show on Netflix a couple weeks ago. I posted about it on my Instagram. Wildest Islands is the name of the show, and they had one on Falkland Islands and about the sheep and hanging out with the penguins. And I was totally blown away. And everybody I told this was like, do you not read Wild Fibers magazine? Because they just did an article on it. So I bought the Wild Fibers magazine. And then this is the thing that everybody on my Instagram feed was freaking out about. This is called Pinnacle Fingering is the base. The color is Hope. It's 75% superwash merino, 25% nylon. And this comes from Wild Hair Studio. So Wild Hair Fiber Studio, wildhair.com. And this colorway, you can see those super hot pink bits. Those are black light reactive. So they've got a black light in their booth, and when you hold the yarn up under it, there are certain sections of it that glow bright. So I had to get this one. I actually did not see this colorway on Saturday, but she had found some in one of the bins and put it up on Sunday, so I was able to grab some. This is really nice stuff. Emily at Fibertown, when I met up with her, she gave me a stitch marker. And then I got some more buttons as well. I got, the Maryland sheep and wool is kind of like a pin, sort of. It's just a fold over tab, so they had them just laying out there and you just fold that over and it stays on your shirt or your pocket or whatever. Casey of Tangerine Designs is super on it and amazing, and she had her Crabby Hands MDSW 2015 buttons. I did not have buttons. I'm not the clear thinker or planner that Casey is. And then Holly gave me her sheepish pin for her sheepish podcast. So that's pretty much it. I don't think I bought anything else other than food. And you know, there are a lot of lamb vendors at MDSW, and I'm a meat eater. I eat meat. One, I'm not a huge fan of lamb because I think it's chewy, and I don't really like the consistency of lamb. I don't want meat that squishes. But mostly, I think it's rude to be eating lamb while you're in, you know, while all these sheep are here. And like, I kid you not, I'm in one booth looking at some sheepies who are adorable and sweet. And here's a guy gnawing on a lamb kebab as he's walking through the sheep barn. And I was like, you know, that's just rude. That's just rude. So no, I did not eat any lamb. So if you guys were waiting for me to tell you what wonderful, delicious lamb stuff was going on, you're not going to get it from me. I had some ribbon fries that were good and some homemade root beer and birch beer. I'd never had birch beer before. It tastes kind of like the Necco root beer candies. What else did I have? We had just a burger from the Lions Club one day, Saturday, because we were hungry, but not super hungry, but we didn't want to eat lamb. And, you know, it was quick and cheap and easy, and it was fine. Tasted delicious. We did have some amazing dinner out. The place that we stayed was really convenient to a number of different places that we could eat. So we went to the White Oak Tavern, which had the best burger I've had in my entire life. Oh, so good. And they had a bowl of bacon. That was their appetizer, was a bowl, and in it they stuffed bacon. And you just ate the bacon. Now I know you're like, but they get their own pig every week, and every week they cut up their own pig. So it's all homemade, right there on site, bacon, you know, nitrate-free, brown sugar cured. Oh my God. Was amazing. We went to Thai one night, and that was amazing as well. And like, none of the restaurants had anybody there. Like, there was never any restaurant that we went that was super full. We weren't ever on a wait. We had no issues getting in and out of anything. It was really, we could not have had a better trip. Everything was convenient. They let us check into our hotel early. The only thing that sucked was they wouldn't let us rent or sign up for the room for next year. We have to wait. They're not set up to, you know, renew reservations for the following year. So I have to remember to call them. I'm not going to forget because we're going to be back, because even if I'm not vending, I'm still going back to Maryland next year. It was amazing. It was so, I know I keep saying that word, but it was. I was completely amazed. We did hit some traffic on the way home, which we expected. As you get into New England, you have to worry more about traffic. And we went through 495 in Massachusetts through Lowell at 6 p.m., like rush hour. We got a little bit stuck. And there was one construction that had us slowed down for about 20 minutes in Pennsylvania. Excuse me. But the whole way down was not bad. It wasn't even bad on the way home. We did miss one exit that wasn't marked well at all. Had to take a little bit of a detour, but we got to see all of farm country in New York. We do not ever need to see a red barn or a silo ever again, because we saw them all on the trip. But it was really good. Monica and I talked the whole time. We never ran out of anything to talk about. I never fell asleep, even though I have car narcolepsy. Carcolepsy. That's what I'm calling it now. She still talks to me, so it couldn't have been that bad. And we would have loved to have had Christine with us, but unfortunately we understand. So hopefully next year, Christine, it will happen. So that's pretty much what I've got. I've got to cut and edit some of these pieces because I've been interrupted several times, but there will be shop updates Sunday at noon. The minis will be in there. The custom orders for the MDSW or bus will be in there, as well as other things. I've got to kind of take it a little bit easy today because of my headache yesterday. But die pots will be cranking, and they're going to be cranking right through. I just keep wanting to call it Maryland Sheep Wool. They'll be cranking right through Fiber Frolic. Now, I am going to have a bit of a sale in my shop for the next week, and I probably should have mentioned that at the beginning. Maybe I'll put that in text at the bottom. I'm going to have a little bit of a sale. What's happening is, it's not been any secret that Highland Handmades has been looking to relocate out of the Highlands towards the coast. This has been my dream pretty much since I moved to the Highlands. Like, it's pretty here, but my soul doesn't belong here, kind of thing. So, in an effort to raise the funds required to make a down payment on a piece of property that we found this week, I'm holding a sale. Like, stuff's got to go. I've got to make, I think we figured it out today. I've got to get about $4,000 for the deposit, the 20% down that we've got to have on the land, so that we can hopefully very soon, maybe in the next year or so, have a relocation of HH Central. So, the sale code is LANDHO, LANDHO. It's good from now until next Saturday night, which is like the 16th. So until midnight on the 16th, you can get 20% off everything in the shop. And that includes sale price items. Everything in the shop, 20% off. You're not going to get a better deal than that for the next week. tweet it, post it, share it, whatever you want to. Spread it as far as you want, as far and wide as you can. Every time, and I've talked about this before in my business, a certain portion goes back to Highland Handmades and a portion goes to us to help us live. This is my day job. It is my business. It is my career. So all of the part that comes to us will be headed towards purchasing this land. So I think that's all I've got for you this week. Until next time, I will say happy spinning and knitting, and thanks for tuning in. Bye, guys.
Thumping softly on the window pane, humming, but driving sideways, and wrinkles looking past the billboard signs. And you look lovely. Oh, 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 oh. You look beautiful to me. Oh, yeah, yeah. You look lovely. Oh, 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 oh. You look beautiful. Feel your heart jump. Oh.